have something you'd like to share with us?
I do. First of all, Chair Gentry, thank you. Thank you for letting me come here tonight and welcoming me to be here tonight. I have a proclamation. And the proclamation is to recognize Mr. Chris Henson for his service to Nashville and MNPS. And you can see by Chris's face that this was a surprise. And whereas Mr. Chris Henson was appointed for the second time in July of 2015 to serve in the capacity of interim director of the MNPS school system, having served in this capacity from January of 2008 until January 2009, leading the nation's 42nd largest district consisting of over 86,000 students and more than 160 schools. And whereas Mr. Henson provided steady, reliable leadership during a time of growth and progress, and under his leadership, MNPS implemented an innovative student-based budgeting model which directs dollars to schools based on the students' needs rather than the positions, giving school leaders more direct control over programming. And also under his leadership was the first district in Tennessee to be awarded the Meritorious Budget Award for Excellence by the Association of School Business Officials. And whereas during his tenure as interim director, Mr. Henson also served as the chief financial officer of our school system and was recently appointed as chief operating officer by our new schools director, Dr. Sean Joseph. Mr. Henson is a member of the Governor's Basic Education Program Task Force, the State Board of Education's Basic Education Program Review Committee, Tennessee Association of School Business Officials, and he's also the past president. He's the Council on the Greater City Schools, Trevecca University President's Advisory Council, and the Tennessee Credit Union Board of Directors. It is indeed my great pleasure to express my personal appreciation to Mr. Chris Henson for his dedicated service to the students, the parents, and the citizens of Nashville during his tenure as interim director of Metro Public Schools. So it is now resolved that I, the mayor of the city of Nashville, do hereby honor and recognize you, Mr. Chris Henson, for your service. And we are grateful and appreciative.
Congratulations again, Chris. I'd like to just take a minute to recognize, we have Council Member Karen Y. Johnson, representing District 29, and Judge Rachel Bell is here with us as well. Thank you so much for joining. Awards and recognitions, Dr. Joseph.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. We have excellent teachers here at Metro Schools, and every so often someone from outside the district sees it and gives them the recognition that they deserve. Tonight we have with us Sandy Irwin. Ms. Irwin is a 6th grade teacher at Bellevue Middle Prep. She's been at Bellevue Middle for 16 years and leads her class with the motto, don't let your dreams become just dreams, make them happen. And that is what happened to her. She had a teacher in 3rd grade who made tough subjects seem easy and exciting. And with that inspiration, she dreamed of being a life-changing teacher who could emulate that teaching style. Earlier this year, Ms. Irwin was named Middle School Teacher of the Year for Metro Schools and a Blue Ribbon Teacher. Those are two major achievements for a Metro teacher, and she did them within the same year. But that is not all. Ms. Irwin was also one of 9 finalists for the Tennessee Teacher of the Year. Now that's worth a round of applause. Congratulations, Ms. Irwin, and thank you for being such an inspiration to our kids and a key member of Team MNPS. Ms. Irwin is here, and so is her principal, Mark Pittman, and I'd like to invite Ms. Irwin and Mr. Pittman up to the podium to say a few words. Podium to the left.
Thank you, Mr. Pittman, for coming with me today. I just want to say thank you. I've worked with Metro for 29 years, and gosh, I didn't know I had to say anything. I just want to thank you, welcome you to our district. I think you're a lucky man because we have a great district. Like I said, I've been here 29 years, and I'm just a face for all the teachers who work tirelessly for you and for this district, and especially for the students of Metro Schools.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
We'll come up for a picture, everybody. Come around.
Congratulations.
Round of applause. Okay, and we'd also like to give an award for the opening of school success to our construction and maintenance crew. We have an in-depth report on the start of schools coming up in the director's report, but I want to touch one of the biggest successes that we had right now. And our planning and construction and maintenance departments pulled off miracles every summer, and this year was no different. Planning and construction finished 2 brand-new buildings, the Cambridge Early Learning Center and the new Goodlettsville Middle School, in time for the first day of school. Both buildings look amazing. We cut the ribbon for Goodlettsville today, and it's unbelievable how that school has transformed thanks to the work of our construction team. They also finished additions and renovations on several other buildings so we can have larger and better facilities for our students. I want you to know I am paying careful attention to equity when it comes to our facilities, and David Prophet and his team are great partners in that work. Our maintenance department spent the whole summer fixing things: air conditioning, boilers, plumbing and electrical systems, painting, and new floors. Our schools shined on the first day of school because of them. That's what we do every year, and we can't open schools without them. This year, there was an added challenge. Just a week and a half before school started, there was a freak accident at Sylvan Park Elementary School. Lightning struck a 40-foot tall brick chimney, and the top of it literally exploded. When the bricks fell on the roof from 40 feet up, they did significant damage to the roof, which caused a lot of flooding inside the building from the rainstorm. This is a historic building, and the accident actually caused it to be condemned 10 days prior to the start of school. That happened on a Friday, and Saturday morning, construction and maintenance crews were on site, assessing the damage and developing plans for repair. Contractors arrived on Sunday to start the work, and they had to climb on top of a crane and take apart the chimney brick by brick.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Some of the miracle, by some miracle and a lot of hard work, by Thursday of that next week, the work was completely finished. And that Friday, just 1 week after the accident, teachers were in their classrooms getting ready for the start of the school year. So I've asked David Prophet, our head of construction, and Dennis Neal, the head of maintenance, to join us, along with one of the contractors who helped work this miracle, Jason Larkins from Orion Construction, and some of the MNPS maintenance crew that pitched in, David Mitchell, Jason Morris, and Jamie Pluckett. You all can come up. Thank you. Mr. Prophet.
Thank you, Dr. Gentry, Dr. Joseph, members of the board. Being sort of a new kid on the block, like many others here, when I got the call from Dennis Neal, who, by the way, has a great crew himself, and just their efforts were unbelievable, I really didn't know who to call. Dennis calls me, he says, do you know a contractor you can call? Well, here I am 6 months on the job, and I'm like, no, not really. But I had met Jason, and I knew that Orion Construction had performed many, many jobs for us. In fact, has another job with us now. And I had struck up a relationship with Jason and Larkins, who's a great person to work with. And I called him, and I said, can you help us out? He didn't even hesitate. It was, I'll be there. So I want to thank him personally. I want to thank Terry Scholes, who is with EMC Engineering, the structural engineer who was required to assess the damage and provide a letter that it was now stable, or the chimney was stable, and we could reopen the school. And he also performed. He couldn't be here with us tonight, but he certainly is offered our thanks as well. So with that, I'll let Dennis speak on behalf of his crew, but I did want to publicly thank Jason for his efforts as well. Dennis?
Thank you, Dr. Joseph, members of the board. Facilities and ground maintenance, we're very proud of our contributions to the school district, and our team is very proud of the job they do every day out there to make the schools better and make it the proper environment for our students. For the Sylvan Park, we had a great team that responded. David Mitchell was our manager on call. David was able to respond, assess the situation. He was able to call in both Jason Morris, Jamie Puckett, and GCA. We have Josh Arnold and Kelly Hamilton, and one of the custodians that responded that night, Larry Harper, with us tonight. And they all responded. Through their efforts, they were able to repair 400 square feet of roof with the contractor. They were able to clean up the water. It was on the 3rd floor, and save a precious wood floor up there on the third level, and then clean up all the debris. So it was remarkable, their efforts, and through that we were able to start school on time, and I'd like to recognize them and thank them for all their efforts tonight. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. We'll take a picture.
All right, Ms. Kim, you will tell us about our entertainment for this afternoon's board meeting?
Sure. Well, we had the privilege of hearing, is this on?
No.
Is it on now?
It is.
Okay. Yes, I'd be happy to talk about the Hume-Fogg Academic Jazz Nights combo. So the Hume-Fogg Academic High School Jazz Program is considered to be one of the best in the state of Tennessee. Over the past 9 years, students in the jazz program have earned over 50 seats in the Tennessee Music Education Association's All-State Jazz Band, which is 30% of all students in that very, very elite group. In addition, the Hume-Fogg Silver Jazz Band has performed at highly selective jazz festivals and competitions across the country. And they've been selected by the TMEA as a featured performance group twice in the past 7 years. The Silver Group also performs at many community events each year, such as the Downtown Partnership Annual Awards Luncheon and the Greater Nashville Association of Realtors Awards Dinner. So today, prior to the meeting, the group that you heard was the Hume-Fogg Academic Jazz Nights combo, and it is made up of 4 musicians that are some of the best that in all of MNPS. All 4 of them have earned a chair in the 2015-2016 TMEA All-State Band. So each of them is a member of, and in addition to that, they're very active, obviously, at Hume-Fogg, participating in extracurricular jazz combo improvisation workshops that meet every Tuesday at the school. So the 4 members of that quartet are Christopher Damon, who plays the bass, Ryan Hogg, who's on the trumpet, Henry Paul on the piano, and Griffin Photoglow, drums. I hope I did not butcher that name. And the director is Dr. Richard Rapani. So
Are the
thank you.
students still here?
I don't think they're still here, sadly. But thanks to all of them for coming out and performing for us before the meeting.
It was awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, you ready? Got a clock. Oh my God, it's time for public participation. We're going to hear now from those who signed up by the deadline to speak to the board. You have 3 minutes. At the end of 3 minutes, you will hear this sound. Thank you very much, and we ask that you respectfully step away from the podium and allow the next presenter to speak. We have Catherine Bennett, Tina Cohen, Judge Rachel Bell, Tom Baker, and T.C. Weber. Please make your way to the podium. First come, first serve.
Okay, shall I begin?
Go right ahead.
Thank you to the board for allowing me to speak this evening. I'm Kathy Bennett. My career as a school librarian of 26 years, I'm now retired, included 10 years at Hillwood as a faculty member. My interest is the well-being and success of all the students at Hillwood. I urge the board to abide by the recommendation of the diversity report written by Dr. Leonard Stevenson, consistent with the MNPS diversity plan. That recommendation is to rebuild Hillwood High School at its present site. My support for keeping Hillwood where it is comes from two key sources: the diversity report, completed by Dr. Stevens, and Making the Unequaled Metropolis by Ansley Erickson, which I'll show you. It tells the story of desegregation and then resegregation of our Nashville public schools. It's an excellent book. As a consultant and trusted advisor to MNPS for at least 7 years, Dr. Stevens assisted in the writing and early implementation of the Nashville Diversity Management Plan, and he's authored at least one article on this plan. Highlights of the diversity report of July 2016 state the zoned option areas are integral to the Hillwood cluster. The alternative sites, that would be in Bellevue, introduce a dissimilarity in travel distance and travel time to the disadvantage of the zoned option students. It is commonly accepted that travel distance is a factor considered by parents and students in school choice decisions. And since the Pearl Cone students are indispensable to the diversity of Hillwood High School, and in light of the district's commitment to diversity, the district should place significant weight on this factor and avoid a location decision that places the school's diversity at risk, and in particular, its plurality status. The Office for Civil Rights of the U.S. Department of Education is currently monitoring student assignment matters in this district, and in light of this ongoing review, the district should ensure that its decision on the Hillwood location matter in all respects with its diversity management plan. The district should be sensitive to the potential for generating perceptions that this school location decision, however unintentionally, would disfavor Black students or students of color who live north of Hillwood High School and thereby become a basis for racial distrust of the district. And finally, a decision to relocate Hillwood High School south of its current location would move the school toward the cluster's higher concentration of white population and away from the considerable number of Black students who live in the north end of the cluster as extended. Almost inevitably, such a move would raise a race-connected question. Who benefits and why? Those are the words of Dr. Stevens. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Joseph and school board members, thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening about the future site of Hillwood High School. My name is Tina Cohen, and I'm a retired MNPS school librarian. While there is the issue of economic efficiency, I wish to focus my attention tonight on concern for access as it relates to diversity and impacts the future site of Hillwood. I commend the leadership of MNPS for the high value placed on diversity in our system and the commission of Dr. Len Stevens, a highly regarded consultant, to conduct a diversity study focusing on the issue of school location for Hillwood. It is a generally accepted concept that proximity to a school adds weight to selection of whether to attend, not attend a particular school. As administrators and school board members, you understand and promote the active engagement of families, understanding that their involvement has a direct impact on the success of their children in the academic arena. Easy access for all stakeholders to a school is critical in making that happen. While Hillwood offers easy, lighted walking access to a bus stop, soon to have sidewalks, the alternative site, Hope Park Church, would require a 1.5-mile hike from the site along a hilly and poorly lit road to reach the closest MTA stop. Parents must have access to reach the school their child attends. Without access to a car, parents would find it more than difficult to attend award ceremonies, athletic events, and parent conferences. Students participating in athletics, tutoring, or other positive enrichment programs would likewise find it difficult with the bus situation, especially during the winter months. Lack of access can easily translate to loss of the zoned option students, numbering 164 from last year from North Nashville. The presence of these students brings diversity, and by extension, Hillwood meets the MNPS diversity standard. It is one of only 3 schools in the cluster that is a plurality school. Important to note that District 9 is broad and goes beyond Bellevue to include Westmead, Hillwood, down Richland Avenue, and Sylvan Park and Charlotte to the north. I urge you to follow the overall recommendation made by Dr. Len Stevens in this diversity report. Quote, "The next best step for the district is to rebuild Hillwood High School at its present site." End of quote. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're out of order, but I'm Tom
It's fine.
Baker. So thank you, Dr. Joseph and the members of the board. My name is Tom Baker, and tonight I speak to the board as president of the Hillwood Neighborhood Association. The association adopted a statement concerning Hillwood High School, and one of the key elements of the statement was the request for further study before a final decision is made about Hillwood High School. We commend the board for having Dr. Stevens' report done, but in his report, even Dr. Stevens suggests that additional studies would be appropriate. One of the main reasons given for moving Hillwood High School to Bellevue is the move would result in a greater participation at Hillwood from the eligible students living in the cluster. Dr. Stevens addresses this issue in Section F of his report on page 8. As a part of his analysis, he included Table 3, which shows the participation or capture percentage of the 12 comprehensive high schools. I have copied the table which is page 2 of your handouts. As you see from the table, 1/2 of the comprehensive high schools have a 56 or below capture percentage, and 1/3 of the high schools have a capture percentage of below 50% of the eligible students living in their respective clusters. This data shows the issue of capturing eligible students is not the sole problem of the Hillwood cluster, but a district problem. Dr. Stevens, in his conclusion on this issue, states, "This would be an opportune occasion for the district to study this issue." Dr. Stevens' entire conclusion on this issue is item 2 on page 1 of the handout. In the overall recommendation of Dr. Stevens' report, he states the case to relocate falls short on 4 points. The third point of the 4 again addresses the issue of participation and states, "An assumption that relocation of the school to Bellevue area would cause more students in this area to use Hillwood High School is speculative. This issue has not been studied." A copy of that entire third point is the third item on page 1 of your handout. Again, the Hillwood Neighborhood Association asked for additional study of issues before the final decision is made on Hillwood High School. You cannot know if moving the school will solve the participation problem until you understand the problem. And this problem is not isolated to Hillwood, but a problem across the district as shown in Table 3 of the report. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Good evening. I have some handouts.
Put them here on the end of the table. We'll get them passed over.
I think there's enough for everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Rachel Bell. I'm one of your judges here, General Sessions Court, and currently still the presiding judge. My term ends in September. Look forward to seeing everybody when I swear you in a couple of weeks. I'm here to present and talk to you about General Sessions Court's Alive at 25 being placed into Metro Nashville Public Schools. In response to the city's health and all policy survey, the General Sessions Court proposes reviving a safety and health education program that is vital to the health and the development of the motoring youth and the young adult population. The National Safety Council has nationally awarded Metro Davidson County General Sessions Court for over not 8 years, but 11 years as the nation's leader in court-run driver safety programs. The court is also a member of the National Safety Council's International Advisory Committee, which reviews and updates driver safety curriculum yearly. This is a program that we would like to revive and put back into Metro Nashville Public Schools, specifically your seniors. Alive at 25 is a program that helps with our children learning more about responsible behavior, driving and texting, definitely exactly what it says, Alive at 25. In 2003, John Slate, who is here with me right now, he's the director of our traffic school education department, and the school board at that time and the principals all were favorable of putting this program in our Metro Nashville Public Schools with one school director that was certified through National Safety Council with our traffic school education department, who would go around to each of the high schools, I believe we have 12 high schools, teach this class and make sure that the students receive the certificate. When the students receive a certificate, not only is it ensuring and helping exactly what it says, that they'll be alive at 25, but it's also, once they receive the certificate, it also helps them relieve the higher cost of driver insurance as well. We would like to partner with Metro Nashville Public Schools again. I've become a certified teacher as well. We started the Music City Community Court. It's a pilot project that we worked on. It's a preventive justice program. Justice reform is not just diversionary after you get in trouble, but it's helping our students and our constituents not end up being part of the school to prison pipeline, as well as entering into the criminal justice system. So I would charge you to reconsider, reinvestigate, seeing what kind of partnership we can have with Metro Nashville Public Schools. Again, with our seniors, 12 high schools, we would like to have curriculums and students, 20 students per class. It's a six videos that they watch. Is 4-hour class. We can either come through our Metro Nashville General Sessions Court and teach the class, or we could maybe find funding to teach one of the teachers at each one of the schools to assist us in bringing this program back into our Metro Nashville Public Schools. 1 second, thank you.
Hi, my name is T.C. Weber. I'm a proud parent of 2 children at Tusculum and a teacher at Tusculum as well. And I'm here today to say thank you and congratulate our school board members, the ones that ran in this last election. What you accomplished is absolutely amazing. This was an unprecedented election with Stand for Children pouring more money than we've ever seen poured into an election. They poured over $200,000 to oppose each of the people running and Christiana Buggs. Now, you don't pour that kind of money into people you think that are ineffective, or you think aren't working hard, or you're not afraid of. And they deserve to be afraid of, because each one of you did what you always do, what you've done for the last 4 years. You got in there and you outworked them. They tried to make charter schools a centerpiece. You didn't fall for the bait. You just did your job. Jill Spearing, you won by 60%. Amy, over 60%. Christiana Buggs won by over 50% in a 4-person race. And, well, Will, you were a little closer. But when you take a look at what Will faced and what they threw at him, I mean, it's a miracle, and there's a reason he's on this board, and there's a reason he's respected like he is, that he managed to withstand and be here for another 4 years. And for each and every one of you, I say thank you very much. This election is reverberating across the nation as people are paying attention across the country. And we're ready for a new charter conversation. The city has said they're ready for a new charter conversation. Dr. Joseph, you've said you're ready for a brand new charter school conversation. The only problem is we can't have a new conversation with the same old voices. I'm going to ask you one more time, please, to the transition team, add 2 or 3 more new voices, people from the outside, people that were part of this election, people that can tell the other side of the charter school story, so that we're getting a complete and we can truly have a new conversation and leave some of that animosity behind and some of that back and forth and focus on the things that we've wanted to, like reading recovery, community schools, and our EL services, all things that our board members have pushed forward. And Christiana Buggs, welcome aboard. You're going to have a great ride. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to now move into governance issues, but before that, I'd just like to remind the public, or let you know, that we have changed the deadline to sign up for public participation to be the Wednesday before the Public Participation Board meeting, which is this meeting the first Tuesday of every month. So the deadline is that Wednesday, 4:30, the week prior to public participation. That allows us to stabilize our agenda. We get several updates between the deadline and the time we come here because we keep adding bodies. But the cutoff is Wednesday, the week before public participation at 4:30 p.m. The website has been updated. Everyone's been informed. And so if you have any questions about that, you can contact Ms. Bobo in the Board Administrator's office or Ms. Brandon, Becky, raise your hand, as well. Governance issues, Ms. Shepherd.
The consent agenda is as follows. 1A, recommended award of contract for architectural services for Pennington Elementary School renovations, Melvin Gill and Associates Architects. B, recommended award of contract for architectural services for Antioch High School additions, Johnson Johnson Crabtree Architects, PLLC. C, awarding of purchases and contracts. 1, Alignment Nashville. 2, American Paper and Twine Company. 3, Business Systems and Consultants, Inc. 4, CDW Government, Inc. 5, Centerstone of Tennessee. 6, Distinguished Professionals Educational Institute, DPEI. 7, East Penn Manufacturing Company. 8, Educational Based Services. 9, Hearing Bridges. 10, Institutional Wholesale Company, Inc. 11, Knowledge Academies, Inc. 12, Lead Public Schools. 13, New Vision Academy, Inc. 14, STEM Preparatory Academy. 15, Studies Weekly. 16, Vanderbilt University. D, approval of textbook for automotive design, a diesel technology course, diesel technology 8th edition, and E, compulsory attendance waivers. Madam Chair, I recommend that we approve the consent agenda as read.
Thank you, Ms. Shepherd. Is there a motion? Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor of approval as read?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Charter submission, resubmission, charter application resubmissions, Ms. Swan.
Sure, I'd like to ask Dennis Queen to come up and
Oh,
he'll
sorry.
introduce. Sure, Ms. Swan.
Let me write your name down.
Welcome, Dennis.
Thank you, sir. Madam Chair, members of the board, and Director Joseph, my name is Dennis Queen. I'm the Executive Officer of Charter Schools, and I wish to thank our Director of Schools, Dr. Joseph, and this board for the opportunity to serve our students in the Metro Nashville community in this capacity and to address this board this evening. Before I introduce Ms. Carol Swan, who has a presentation for you, I want to take just a moment to acknowledge some of the accomplishments of this office and to share both the state and national footprint this office has developed over time. The Charter Office applies the high academic standards of the Academic Performance Framework to all prospective charter school applications on an equal basis. Also, MNPS is one of only a handful of authorizers nationwide that actively seeks relationships with all authorizing bodies at the state level, LEAs, State Board of Education, along with the partners such as the Tennessee Charter Center. This office created and led the Tennessee Association of Charter School Authorizers. Again, we created it and we led this organization to assist all LEAs in the state with quality authorizing practices. We regularly consult with and train boards and district staff in other Tennessee counties where charter applications are received. This district was one of only 5 authorizers chosen by a competitive grant to develop quality monitoring and oversight, renewal, closure, and replication policies. MNPS was named one of the top 10% of authorizers throughout the nation that have exemplary authorizing practices and meet all 11 of the development outcomes for the National Association of Charter School Authorizers. This office also presented in 2013 at this same authorizing conference, leadership conference on quality authorizing practice, and our own Ms. Carol Swan, who will be up in just a moment, will be facilitating a panel discussion at the NASCA Leadership Conference in October of this year on managing the changing charter landscape and changes in district leadership. As you can see, Metropolitan Nashville Public Schools has taken a leadership role in developing a rigorous application process that approves only applications that demonstrate a high probability of success and monitors implementation practices through accountability and support. Metro Nashville schools have a lot to be proud of in this area and taken a strong leadership role within the state of Tennessee. So having said that, I would like to introduce Ms. Carol Swan, who now has a presentation for you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so very much. Dr. Joseph, welcome to MNPS. Dr. Gentry and board members for allowing us to present this evening. For the amended charter application, recommendations for the 2016 application cycle, I want to publicly one more time thank my review team. They have put in many hours. I appreciate their expertise. I appreciate their experience. They're all volunteers, and amazingly enough, some of them come back year after year, and I'm just so grateful for them. So I want to thank them publicly one more time. Just to recap how we got here tonight, the first round of applications, if you remember, we had 4 applications that were presented to our review team. At the June 14th board meeting, all 4 were denied approval this year. Under Tennessee charter law, applicants who are denied initially have 30 days in which to amend their applications and try to look at the deficiencies that the review team found in their first application. When an amended application is submitted, the review team then has 30 days to evaluate the changes and come back to you with a recommendation. TCA 4913-108 established the standard of review for the local board decisions. The board is required to rule by resolution on each application individually, stating the objective reasons for denial. Only one of the 3 applicants, one Rocket Ship Education, resubmitted. Rocket Ship had submitted 2 applications, and they submitted 2 amended applications, one for a fresh start or a brand new school, one for a conversion. I recommend that we take each application separately, resolving clearly your intention to approve or deny, and clearly incorporating the entire recommendation report, as well as the oral history of this meeting as the foundation for your objective reasons. With the board's permission, I would like to start with the Rocket Ship Fresh Start application. I want to repeat something that I said last time, and it bears repeating, and it's important for everyone to hear again. Replication of an existing charter school is not an automatic right. There is nothing in statute that demands that we replicate a school that already exists, nor is it a matter of formality, not for us and not for you. It should only be considered when a school is showing strong academic outcomes for students. A track record of academic success is the absolute minimum requirement when considering a replication or expansion of an existing school. And Tennessee charter law very specifically allows the chartering authority, which is us, to take into consideration past and current performance of the school. I'm showing this slide once again to indicate that we have no other state accountability data. And we talked last time about the fact that we would not have state accountability data this time due to some of the difficulties with 10-ready testing. Nothing has changed in that area since the first round of application submissions. Rocket Ship Education currently has 2 schools in Nashville, with only 1 having state accountability data. Based on the accountability measures set by the state of Tennessee, Rocket Ship has not established evidence of student success. This data slide shows Rocket Ship as the lowest performing charter school in 2015. Their success rate, which is a percentage of students reaching proficiency in science, reading, and math, was 24.3, which puts them in the bottom 3% of public schools statewide. There are 3 of our priority schools that the state has put on the priority list perform better academically in math than Rocket Ship, with an additional 6 priority schools within plus or minus 5 percentage points. 5 schools that are on the priority list scored better than Rocket Ship in reading, with another 9 within plus or minus 5 percentage points. In Rocketship's amended applications, they brought up 2 additional areas that they asked the review team to take a look at. The first is that they argued they scored satisfactory on their report card on the district's academic performance framework. The slide you see here is Rocketship Nashville Northeast report card from 2015. I want to bring your attention to the top portion, which says, if this school would be on track to full renewal review. And I want to tell you what that means so that we're very clear where Rocketship stands at this moment. If this were a renewal year for Rocketship, if this were their 9th year, going into their 9th year, the report card indicates it's on track for full renewal review, and according to our charter renewal policy, this means that they would have to submit to us a very extensive, comprehensive plan for increasing academic outcomes for students, a detailed and lengthy renewal application, and compelling evidence that the school has made the necessary changes in academics, operations, and/or finances to support the academic outcomes articulated in the new plan. Most importantly, for a school showing only satisfactory over the number of years or up and down on the report card, when we come to the renewal year, renewal is far from guaranteed. It would be a lengthy process with a review team put in place to take a look at everything, the entire body of the 9 years the school's been in session. If the renewal of a school several years out is already in question, the review team cannot see their way clear to recommend to you the approval of an additional Rocketship school at this time. The next area in the amended applications that brought up by Rocketship asked that the review team consider their internal growth data as measured by the NWEA MAP. NWEA MAP is a nationally normed test that is used to benchmark internal growth and inform instruction. The review team could not consider this data for several reasons. First, the state of Tennessee application, and it's quoted there in the slide that you see, clearly states what an existing operator must submit in order to be considered for replication. And one area is to provide student data from state accountability testing. It does not indicate that internal growth measures or growth measures of any kind are to be considered by the LEAs in which replication might take place. But our review team went even further. Even if we could have considered the internal growth data, we have no basis for comparison. MAP is not mandated as a benchmark assessment for all metro schools, and nor is it mandated as a benchmark assessment for the state. We have lots of schools throughout the state, and even some within our system who use MAP, but there is no protocol for how we use that. We also have no way, if we are looking at internal data only, of validating how those tests were given. The testing protocol, the training given to the teachers, the fidelity with which those tests were given, even teacher to teacher. We do have those protocols in place for state accountability data, so we have some assurance that everyone is giving the test the right way and that the results are going to be valid. We have no way to check the validity of internal data. Therefore, we cannot consider that internal data for authorization purposes from any existing operator. Having gone through the amended application review, the review team found that the Fresh Start application did not meet standard for approval in the academic review category, and it still only partially meets standard in operational and financial categories. The established standard for an approval recommendation is that all three areas, academic, operational, and financial, must meet standard in order to advance for further consideration. Therefore, the review team's recommended reasons for denial are stated here and in the recommendation reports that you have had to review, and we respectfully recommend that you rule by resolution to deny the Rocket Ship Fresh Start amended application on the basis of this meeting and the review included in the full recommendation reports.
Thank you, Ms. Long. You've heard the recommendation of the committee to deny the application for Rocket Ship's Fresh Start. Put the title back up there. Fresh Start.
Yes, ma'am. Fresh Start, I'm sorry.
Fresh Start, okay. And conversion, is that right?
No, let's
Just-
do one
just
at
the
a
Fresh
time.
Start,
Yes,
okay.
ma'am, just the Fresh Start.
You've heard the committee's recommendation to deny Rocket Ship's application for its Fresh Start school. Is there a motion?
I move that we deny the application based upon the recommendation from the charter school team.
Is there a second? Second. All right, any discussion? All in favor of denial of the application?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Application is denied.
The next application we would take up would be the Rocket Ship conversion. The review team's recommended reasons for denial of the conversion application are exactly the same as those stated for the Fresh Start application. We would bring to the board's attention once again that Rocket Ship's 2015 state accountability scores put them in the bottom 3% of schools. And in the review team's best analysis, a school in the bottom 3% cannot effectively attempt to turn around a school that is also struggling. Therefore, the review team's recommended reasons for denial are stated here and in the recommendation reports you've had to review, and we respectfully recommend you rule by resolution to deny the Rocket Ship conversion amended application on the basis of this meeting and the review included in the full recommendation reports.
Oh, that's it? Okay. Sorry, thank you. You heard the committee's recommendation to deny the conversion application from Rocket Ship. Is there a motion?
I move that we deny the application based upon the recommendation.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of denying the Rocket Ship application for the conversion? Aye? All opposed? Okay, 8 in favor, 1 opposed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Dr. Joseph, back to school report.
Thank you. As we said at the beginning of this meeting, we had a lot of people pull off a lot of miracles to get school opened this year. We feel like our school's opened strong with a lot of high points and much to celebrate. But we also know that there were some issues, too. And some of those issues still need resolution. Overall, I'd give us a B on the start of schools. I think it was pretty good, but it could have been better. For a huge majority of families, it was a smooth opening without any trouble, but there are some who've had repeated troubles with transportation and enrollment, just to name a few areas. The good news is that we have a strong central support system who's basically been doing nothing else but monitoring the start of school, identifying what our issues are, and communicating about how we're going to resolve those issues. And I want to bring up the team to talk about the new processes that we put in place for the start of the school year, including how we're offering direct support to our principals. They will walk us through some of the issues that we have seen over the course of the past week and talk about what we're going to do to address those issues. But first, we thought it'd be great to start off with a video from our communications team that celebrated the work of day one. So without further ado, we'll go to our video.
Tony, sound. Okay, where? Okay, it's not. Can you?
You're not getting anything.
No, no sound.
student learning and getting them to the next step. That's what I'm excited about.
I'm excited about working with the senior class and getting them ready for the college process and identifying a school that they're going to go to and fulfilling those dreams.
Let Metro parents know that we are here to serve them, and let students know we are here to serve them first, and that their well-being and their success is our number one goal.
The world. And that's all it is. It's going in, learning, getting the education, being able to be self-sufficient.
And so we love that last line, right? Let's exceed great expectations together. So having said that, we're going to ask Mr. Henson and Mr. Bass and then Dr. Felder to come up to talk about what we need to do to exceed expectations, because in some areas we recognize we fell short, and we're not giving up, because exceeding might take a little time, but they will be exceeded. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I'll turn it over to Mr. Henson.
Well, thank you, and that video was great, and it says a lot as far as what did go well. There were many things that went very well on the first day. First of all, and maybe one of the most important things, is we had a very friendly and welcoming environment for our students and our parents and our families. All of our schools, I think, went over and above trying to make families and trying to make students comfortable, trying to instill that sense of excitement regarding the first day of school. We had accessible school leadership and staff out willing to help students, willing to help parents. That was very evident from all of the visits across the county. We were able to complete construction projects on time, even though there were several that were on a very abbreviated time frame. Goodlettsville Middle School was one of them, where we knew it was going to go right up to the end, and it did. But we were able to get it completed. The same with the new Cambridge Early Learning Center, which is a wonderful space. And so we've had several that went right up to the wire. We knew they were, but we were able to get them completed. We also, in addition to Goodlettsville Middle School, we had several classroom addition projects that were completed. Glencliff Elementary, Glenview Elementary, Ruby Major Elementary. I'm sure I'm going to leave some off, but we had several construction projects that were going on and were completed by the beginning of the school year. The vast majority of our schools looked great inside and out. Not to say that we didn't have a few issues where it did not exceed great expectations. But we worked on that quickly, and we made sure that didn't continue, and put steps into place to be sure that won't continue. But overall, the buildings look very inviting, clean, and that was from the vast majority of those that visited schools, that was the sentiment. As far as staffing goes, a lot of progress was made, particularly since the last time we talked about it on July the 12th. We did have 34 vacancies on day one, which were spread out over 27 different schools. Many of those were those hard to staff areas, such as math and exceptional education, English learners, and foreign language. But we were able to fill almost all of those with certificated substitutes. We had all rooms covered as far as where we had absences, or where we had vacancies, excuse me. We did have quite a few resignations and retirements throughout the summer, where we were attempting to backfill as we were filling vacancies. Sometimes it felt like 2 steps forward and 1 step back, because I guess people decided, don't think I have another year in me, and so they either resigned or retired, and that went right up to the first day of school, which is not unusual, and it's particularly in a district of our size. So our Human Resources Department and our principals did a great job of getting vacancies filled with teachers and making sure that all of our classrooms were filled. We did have some areas where we had some challenges. Part of that was due to the change in our student information system from Pearson Power School, which was no longer being supported, to our new student information system, Infinite Campus. And through that, again, that was an abbreviated timeline to convert to a new student information system. But it was felt at the time that it was necessary because the previous system was no longer being supported. And through that conversion, there were some number of students who, for whatever reason, the addresses didn't convert. And so we had a number of students who did not have valid addresses in the student information system, which had a sort of a domino effect, and it had a great effect on transportation. Obviously, you can't route a student for bus transportation if you don't have a valid address. And so that probably was the largest area where we struggled with transportation, was just not being able to get students routed on buses, even though they had been with us in the prior year and even had lived at the same address in the prior year. We continue to have transportation issues. Overall, transportation is going well, but we continue to have those issues where, and I'm sure you're hearing it, and I want to offer a personal apology to Amy Froh, because it's directly affecting her family, and maybe some of the others as well, but we apologize for that, and we are working day and night to get those fixed. Our goal is to have all of these issues ironed out by the end of this week, and some of it is, again, related to the enrollment, where we still have families enrolling, even today, and I'm sure we will tomorrow, that are still coming in and enrolling and going through that process where it's going to take a day or 2 or 3 to get them routed through bus transportation. And so it's been challenging, and we are going to make sure that after this process is complete, that we debrief and make sure that we plan accordingly for the next year. I'm going to, at this point, of course, be here for questions, but at this point, turn it over to Joe to talk about the Family Information Center.
So you all know the Family Information Center, formerly called the Customer Service Center. We take a lot of pride in the Family Information Center being the first point of contact for families and community when they need questions answered. We also take a lot of pride in short wait times. Normally our hold times at our answer rate are phenomenal. Starter schools, they were not. And there's a couple of significant reasons for that. Number one being hardware. The phone system in the Family Information Center is being phased out by the company that built it. There's a theme here, I guess. And so it is in the process of being replaced by a brand new system. It is not finished yet, but it will be very soon. I'm told early fall. That will allow for more capacity. So we have the hardware issue with limited capacity, and on top of that, the transportation issue led to a flood of phone calls. Not just more phone calls, but they're actually taking 2 to 3 times longer to resolve. Because as you can imagine, on the second day of school, if your child does not have a bus route, you're probably pretty frustrated. And so the first few minutes of the phone call are spent de-escalating and making sure that we can have a conversation and answer questions and get the information we need. And so it's taking 2 to 3 times as long to get people off the phone. And so it's jamming the phone lines and causing some long wait times, causing some disconnected parents, and causing a lot of frustration in what is normally one of our strongest communications channels. The call volume is going down the last couple of days. The system has crashed only once a day and for a very, very short period of time. That's opposed to 4 to 5 on Wednesday and Friday of last week. So it's getting better because the call volume is going down. We also have our new system coming online, and we developed, with the help of IT and transportation and several other good folks, we developed a workflow for calls that is hopefully going to get people routed to people more quickly, people who can actually do the hands-on help that will help them so that we can get them off the phone more quickly and free up those lines for other families to come in. So we are seeing the times starting to go down, and we think we'll be back at normal levels end of the week, beginning of next week, we're hoping.
All right, so in addition to the aforementioned issues, there were a few others. One of those additional issues was around access to interpreters. So there were schools that wanted to have an interpreter physically present, and so to address that issue, because we don't have enough interpreters to be physically present, we reminded schools that they can reach out to the EL, the ESOL office, to get support via phone as well as through a service that the district has contracted with. And so we know we need to improve our services to our non-English speaking families. But that is a solution that we've put in as a stopgap until we can hire more interpreters. Another issue that came up is around the EL assessments. And so we found that there was a lag between when a student was assessed and that information getting to schools. And so that lag is due to Infinite Campus, in that it is not quite built out yet to accept those assessments. And so as a stopgap solution for that, we are sending the data directly to schools, so to principals and other school staff, so that they have those EL assessment data right away. And we are working to, again, with Infinite Campus to get the page that those assessment data will be loaded into up and running as soon as possible. The other known issue that we have is around special education paraprofessionals. And so schools have reached out requesting more support with paraprofessionals. And so we're working with HR to identify those needs and to provide more support with regards to paraprofessionals through new hires and substitutes. So those were just some additional issues that were raised in these first few days of school. And so you may be wondering, so how do you know about those issues? And so we know about those issues because we have implemented a new process for gathering data with regards to what's working in our schools as well as where the issues are. And so traditionally, all schools were visited on the first day of school. So this new process that we've implemented has us visiting schools not only on the first day of school, but every day during the first week of school. And you have a copy of, or should have a copy of, the first week of school visits form. And so central office staff are dispatched to schools. And the purpose of our visits to the schools are to observe firsthand principals, to observe facilities, classrooms, and staff. We're also there to identify the hot spots, and that's one way that these issues were raised and brought to our attention. I'm sure principals would have eventually gotten that information to us, but we were there asking questions about staffing. We were there asking questions about transportation, about scheduling, about enrollment. And we were specifically not only looking for, what's working well, looking at, how is assessing customer service, but we were, again, there to learn about any challenges that schools had and to get them addressed immediately. And so, as you can see from this form, it provides information to the visitor to who to contact. So again, we were not just waiting until we got back to central office to make these concerns known. They could pick up the phone right on the spot and make a phone call to inform the appropriate staff person of what the issues were. In addition to that, we also bring this information back. So every day, except for today, we meet in this room at 4 o'clock for the purpose of a debrief. And so as a group, we talk about and identify, well, what went well, and we celebrate the successes. And there have been more successes than issues, but nonetheless, there are issues. And so we discuss what the issues are. We identify which issues were more frequent than others, and we identify who needs to address them, as well as if they've already been addressed, but anything that's still outstanding, who's going to address it and by when. So that is the new process that we've implemented this year in an effort to support schools, to support principals, to determine what's working, and to quickly identify areas of concern. And so to give you an opportunity to hear firsthand from some principals regarding what worked well for them at the opening of school, as well as what challenges they personally face. We have 3 principals, Dr. Schuler, Pelham, Connie, Gwen, and Carolyn Cobbs. And so at this time, I'd like to invite them up to the podium so you can hear from them directly, and we'll hang around should you have questions.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's my pleasure to be here to share my experiences with the start of school. The support that I have received from central office has been great. Not only have members of central office come each day, so day 1, day 2, the entire week, not only have they come and assisted us with the work that you would assume. Children come in, they are confused, they're nervous, maybe they've not been before, so making them feel comfortable, showing them the building and getting them to the classroom. They came in, introduced themselves, and joined in that work. Where's the rosters? And just joined us in the hallways, making sure that every child was where they were supposed to be. Having conversations with parents, making sure that they were comfortable about that first week experience. But then, after that was accomplished, and it was amazing how quickly each day our classrooms, our cafeteria was set up, and settled in, everybody in place, everyone where they were supposed to be. But they then, like the first day, we had Rob Hancock from HR. His conversation with me was about staffing. And since I'm new to the district, new to Nashville, each person who's come have given me information that I didn't have, that I really needed, critical pieces. So looking at the number of students that were in each classroom, how I could get the staffing that I needed, should I need it, and what that process was all about. I had Dr. Lipsey came in on one of those days, connected with me, helped us get students settled, and then met up with the Literacy Collaborative. Made sure that I understood what that was all about and got to everyone on my staff who might be affected by that initiative that we're a part of. So not only was it supportive for the process of opening schools, but it was also an opportunity for me to learn all I needed to know about that particular department. The other thing that has really been critical to this start of school and this short period of time, I think I've been on board for about 3 weeks, and I know so much now because of the support that I've gotten. My ELP, my executive leadership principal, who's here today, Adrienne Battle, she's been amazing. She has helped me through some crises, and I'll just name a few. I have an issue around, I've had issues, like you've mentioned, around transportation, and those are critical situations. Parents are nervous, scared. Where's my child? I've been able to make a phone call. She's responded immediately and helped me get an answer and connect to transportation or whomever, enrollment, wherever I need to speak to within a minute. That's been huge. So I've been able in each of those situations to bring comfort to a parent. That's been wonderful. She has brought, so I now know, and I feel really proud of this, I now know the difference between facilities, maintenance, and GCA, and what each of those folks do. And that's because when I had issues, she got the person in charge, or one of the lead people in each of those situations, brought them to me, walked the building with me so they can tell me, I'm responsible for this, I'm responsible for that. And whatever situation I've had related to anything in my building, all I have needed to do is to reach out to my executive lead principal, and she's brought the solution to me. It's just been so efficient. I don't think there's been a time in my career that I've been able to learn so much, so quickly, so efficiently to get my work done. I guess one of the most significant pieces that central office has stepped in and helped me with was exceptional education and mapping. I didn't know anything about mapping. They've come in, they've looked at my hours of service, and they're already giving me somebody, an additional staff person, because I'm short staffing. I now know that. I didn't know that yesterday. I know that today. So that's kind of the rapid fire response that I've had from central office, and it's just been great. The other thing I just want to say that I'm excited about is that I've come in, I've met my staff, and We have some struggles. We have some real challenges. But one thing about this staff, they are ready. They're ready, they're committed, and they want to, I shared our new, vision, which is exceeding great expectations. They cheered. They're ready. They're just waiting for how do we do it? We're ready to do it. So that's the part that I'm really, really optimistic about. And my determination in terms of this school and what I'm excited about doing as we move forward is building the capacity of my instructional staff. And half the battle is that they are, I've got the buy-in. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. We were kind of given some guiding questions, so I'm kind of going to go with that and then stray a little bit. Try to keep in a box, but sometimes it doesn't work. First of all, the support that I've seen, I've got to start with my teachers and my staff. If I didn't have their support, I don't know where we would be. So I start with them first. As you all know, this year it was a shorter preparation period. We only had 2 days of paid being a teacher to get ready for school to start. And everybody just jumped in, did what they needed to do. We had 10 new people on our staff, and just to see my staff members take in those people and really work with them. I had one first-year teacher come to me. Actually, she wrote me an email saying, what you said in the interview was true. Everybody has come to help me. So my hat's off to my staff first, that we wouldn't be here without them. Also, our families are very supportive of us at H.G. Hill. We also had the community in really interesting ways. Hillwood Neighborhood was here earlier. We put out a call out, we need khakis in our clothes closet. We get khakis. There was a church sign, Bracala Baptist Church has a sign up saying we are praying for H.G. Hill and Hillwood students and teachers. That is true community support there. They may not be in our building every day, but the support is there. To the people who in MNPS are very dear to me during these last couple of days, John Hubble, of course, is my executive lead principal, always available, always wanting to help, helping me figure out things that I don't even know are wrong yet. So I really appreciate him being there. Taffy Marsh, who we've been a little under fire. We've had a few issues. I will say that we have a board member's child at our school too. So we have had some issues with transportation. The first night we had 157 kids there until 5 o'clock on Friday night. Yesterday we only had one late bus. We finished delivering at like 6:30. Taffy was holding my hand the whole time. Not fixed yet, but it's nice to know somebody's holding your hand, so thank you. Also John was in on that. I want to say thank you. Frank White came by on first day. Mike Law for IT has been helping me put together a new projector for us. GCA followed through on doing everything they were supposed to do. The first day of school, I talked about the teachers and the parents. We also had retired teachers who came back to help us greet our students. We also had GNAR, Greater Nashville Association of Realtors, is our pencil partner. They sent a tribe to meet our people. So that is important when our kids walk in to have people there. Our bus drivers, can't say enough about them. Hard work, so I appreciate them too. The issues that we've experienced, transportation, but like I said, hopefully we're getting there. Today, I think the last bus left at 4:45, so we're going the right direction, at least, not getting longer. We had no air in 4 of our classrooms. When I left school today, they were still there trying to get that fixed. We had 2 portables delivered, had some problems with that, asbestos, all this kind of things. They're not up and running yet, but we're hoping for next week. Once again, people helping. One of my issues that I think that is difficult to address is the mental health of our students coming in. The students that we've had who have mental health issues, we're aware of them. When we get new students in, that's very difficult. I've reached out to Sonia Dobbs in Exceptional Ed. This student is not in Exceptional Ed, but just to give us some guiding force as to what to do with students who are really having issues. Optimistic, full of optimism. We have so much good going on at H.G. Hill. I think this year we're really going to look at continuing to develop our student leaders. We are looking at full restorative, really making restorative work for our school. Making sure that scope and sequence is together, collaborative planning for our teachers, since many of our new teachers are literacy teachers, and also planning for RTI. I think RTII is a game changer for our students. I think it can really identify what students need help with and where they need to go with that. So very excited about that. Our focus on exceeding great expectations is continuing to develop the instruction level of our teachers and in all areas, but especially looking at literacy. In the next phase for us is really doing the social studies and science, embedding the literacy there. So we're really excited about that, and to continue our culture of really that learning is important. One quick side story. Yesterday, we had 2 students who returned to us who graduated from H.G. Hill and Hillwood. They are first-time college students for their family. They are going away to college, sorry about that, and came back to school to visit us. Well, I try to keep everybody busy, so I put them together on working on some restorative practices with our students that were sent to us that didn't really have it together. If you could have seen those 2 kids really working with those kids on what they need to do to be successful, that's what we're talking about. So very optimistic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I forgot my orange pen.
Hi, good evening. My name is Schuler Pelham. I'm the principal of Hillsborough High School. I'm also the proud parent of 4 students enrolled in MNPS schools. I want to thank you for inviting us here this evening to share some of our experiences for opening school. I can really only speak to my own experiences as a principal opening. This is my 9th year opening a school here in MNPS. Most of those years have been pretty good. Every year has had some challenges, some more so than others. I'm happy to say the trend has been that opening day has been getting better every year. I hope I can attribute some of that to my growth as administrator. I know I can attribute much of that to increased support from the community and the district office. So I'd like to take a moment and share a little bit about that. This has probably been one of the best years I've ever had as an administrator in terms of actual support to make the opening of school go very well. I've had some years where the expectations were very high, but the support was low. This year, the expectations were high and the support was high. It's a wonderful thing. A great opening of school begins weeks before the actual school opens. I've made it my practice for the past several years to do a walkthrough of my campus with GCA and maintenance together, and that has been a wonderful practice. They always come right out. We'll meet you whenever we need to. They go through the building with us. Sometimes they see things that I didn't even see. Wonderful can-do attitude, and that made our school looking great, inviting, and fully functional for the first day of school. Yes, it is an old building. Things will still break. Things will still wear out. Air conditioners will stop working. Leaks will happen. And those things are unexpected and often inevitable. But the difference is making sure how do we respond to those things. And whenever we've said, hey, we've got an emergency, we have a real thing that needs to be fixed right now, they're out there right away getting it done. And so that's great. A great opening also happens because we have a great team of people in our building, teachers and staff. Our human resources has been working tirelessly across the summer to help us fill all those positions, and I thank them for all their work with that. The reality is, though, there is a supply and demand issue, particularly in some of the high demand areas, such as mathematics, chemistry, foreign language. We started off the year with 1 vacancy in mathematics. We're working right now to close the deal and offer for a candidate for that position. The new teacher academy was something that was sorely needed and was very helpful in getting our new teachers on board, and we appreciate that as well. Food service, textbooks, flawless, exactly how it should be. Very pleased with that. Our 2 areas of struggle really for this year, and they've already been mentioned, Infinite Campus and transportation. Transportation, I think, was much of it driven by the issues with Infinite Campus. We had an issue this afternoon. It's mostly been around routing for special education students. Had an issue just this afternoon. Within minutes, I was able to get my boss, Dr. Kathleen Dawson, on the phone. She was able to get Taffy on the phone with us. We got it straightened out. Very happy about that. So people are working very hard to make those things happen. Sometimes they're inevitable. Again, it's how do we react to them? The Infinite Campus issues are numerous, but non-disastrous. We were actually prepared for much worse. It could have been awful. No one really knew what was going to happen when we pushed the button to load master schedules. So we were prepared for a lot worse than what we had. The issues typically are around access or lack thereof for some of our staff, importation of data, and fluency and familiarity with the end users. And so what it's doing for much of us is slowing down processes for us as we're trying to make tweaks and changes to student schedules or in the master schedule, things that normally we could do very quickly, the system that we're very familiar with, take longer now, but we can still get them done. So nothing disastrous there, and we have full confidence that's going to get better as we move along. The biggest difference for me this year was the continued support beyond just that first day. That first day, it wasn't just an accountability piece, someone coming to see, let me check up on you, were you ready? It was born out of a spirit of support, and that's something that we really appreciate. People are listening to us, and most importantly, Dr. Joseph's office is reporting back to us. We've heard you. This is what you're telling us. This is our proposition for how we're going to fix these issues and our estimated timeline on when they'll be fixed. And that's very comforting for a principal to know that the issue's been heard, there's a game plan, it's being put into place. And I would tell you, this is where exceeding great expectations begins. And Dr. Joseph, I commend you for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so thank you to our principals, and I invite everyone back to the podium to entertain any questions you have.
Are there any questions? Okay.
I'm just excited to hear about all the support you have felt. And I don't know that this has ever been done in metro schools. We usually have a lot of central office support the very first day, but to think about getting that support for the first week, thank you, Dr. Joseph, because it's greatly needed, and I can hear how much you appreciate that support. I have the complaints that I've heard are with transportation, and so I'm glad to understand now that it has to do with the Infinite Campus. And Dr. Joseph, would you maybe toward the end of the week, give us an update in the form of an email about how that's going, how transportation's kind of settled down?
Absolutely.
I think that would be helpful. I'm also excited to hear that when we needed a paraprofessional for special ed, that was able to be taken care of immediately. And sometimes I worry about student-based budgeting and how, do we have to go back and look at in my house, I have to go back and look at my budget. But it wasn't a deterrent. We were able to move forward with what our students needed. So I applaud that system. I was also glad to know that even though we had a lot of people from central office taking care of individual needs and help and support, there was also literacy instruction going on with Dr. Lipsey. So yay rah that we were thinking about that at Cumberland. Thank you for sharing that. There was a comment about teachers got 2 paid days this year. Did I understand that correctly? Before school started?
August 1st and 2nd.
I'm sorry?
August 1st and 2nd, I think.
August 1st and 2nd. Yes. So those were 2 full paid.
They weren't on the payroll until August 1st.
Okay. Okay, great. And that was to help them set up their classrooms? And
those were in-service days.
In-service days, okay. Did they also get some time to, I think in the past, maybe they've gotten $100?
For that prior week, yes.
Okay, and that happened this year as well. But that was one day?
They can come whenever they want to get it set up, and then if their room is ready before school, then they get that $100.
Okay, good. So, yeah, I think that, that we are off to a good start. And I know that Dr. Joseph has got so much on his plate, and I know that all of you have so much on your plate. Thank you so much for your work.
Anyone else? Thank you so much, Dr. Joseph, team. All right. Going on to committee reports, we have a governance committee report. Lisa?
At our last governance committee meeting, we revisited a set of standards called the Annenberg Standards that were passed by this board about a year ago. And in light of a new administration, as well as some surfaced known problems in the implementation of the standards, we charged dear Dr. Joseph to take a look at those standards and make some set of recommendations to the board about how we should proceed. And that is where we left that committee meeting. I suppose you don't want to say anything. You don't need to say anything, but you?
Not at this time.
Okay.
All right.
That's it.
Do we have a next steps for that? Did you already say that?
Well, on his timeline, we're going to figure out then what to do based on his recommendation.
Okay. All right. And guess what? It's time for announcements. I check the clock. It's 6:31. Ms. Hunter? Dr. Brandon?
I just wanted to mention the annual jamboree that is going to take place this weekend. And at McGavick, it will be, this is football now. At McGavick, it will be at 7 o'clock on Thursday, at Overton at 6 o'clock on Friday, and Stratford at 2 o'clock on Saturday. So this helps our athletic department greatly. So bear that in mind and hope that the weather prevails. That's it.
All right, thank you.
Yes, I want to add my congratulations to all the incumbents who were reelected, and also a special welcome to our new board member that will be in District 5, Christian Buggs. And I know we're all ready to take a little breather and then get back to work. So it's good that that part of our work is over, and now we can get into teaching and making this the best school district. I especially enjoyed the first day of school, and I had the opportunity to hang out with Dr. Joseph and visit Maplewood High School and Tom Joy. Yes, on the north side of town, and it was really great to have that kind of recognition by Dr. Joseph for District 3 schools. Sometimes I hear that District 3 folks believe that we're the stepchildren. But not so. We're not the stepchildren today. It was proven on the first day of school. I also had the opportunity to visit Amqui Elementary, Gateway, Goodlettsville Elementary, and Goodlettsville Middle. And then today we did the ribbon cutting with Goodlettsville Middle, and that was an absolute joy. I want to also add my appreciation to David Prophet, the Director of Facilities Planning and Construction, to all the construction workers. Parents were calling me 2 or 3 days before school saying, there's no way that school is going to be open. And so I went to Goodlettsville Middle School, and I toured it and looked and took pictures of the classrooms. Classrooms were ready to go. So I put those pictures on Facebook, and parents immediately began to relax. Even though it didn't look as professional on the outside as it did the inside, it really helped parents to kind of calm down. So I want to thank the teachers and staff and for working so hard to prepare, and the building was beautiful today. The ribbon cutting was wonderful. We had both mayors, the mayor of Goodlettsville and also the mayor of Nashville, elected officials, and a lot of alumni. So we're off to a good start. Thank you.
Ms. Kim? Ms. Shepherd?
Yes, I want this for you, so I always have comments.
Announcements.
Announcements, oh, darn. I was like, what? Okay, on the last report, I'm sorry, I had an emergency phone call I had to take. I want to say that I really enjoyed the video, and I mentioned this to Dr. Joseph last week. I really enjoyed the social media that we had around the first day of school. I think Joe Bass is doing a phenomenal job. Thank you for being proactive and telling our story. I really do appreciate that. All right, so here are my announcements. I'm segueing into that. I wanted to congratulate my colleagues who were re-elected to the board and to Christine Buggs for her election to the Board of Education. I look forward to working with you for a couple of years anyway down the road. A huge thank you for all the wonderful volunteers who welcomed the students to McGavock High School last Friday morning really early. We had a really good crowd and we had more than 100 prizes that were raffled off during the day. I would like to welcome more to the new principals, more than 30 new principals to our district, and especially to Dr. Angela Bailey and Hilda Smith at Stanford Montessori and McGavock Elementary, respectively. I'd like to let our viewing audience know that Dr. Joseph has graciously offered to hold another lesson and learn for the McGavock cluster since he was stuck on the tarmac in Maryland the last time in July. So at the first lesson and learn that was scheduled for July 28th, this next one will be on Thursday, August the 18th at 6 o'clock at McGavock High School. So thank you for doing that, Dr. Joseph. And then, I just said the new date, so I'm done.
Ms. Pierce?
Okay, thank you. Just reminded hearing it for the Listen and Learn, we will be having another one for parents and with children enrolled in choice schools on August 17th at 6 p.m. at Rose Park Middle School. And then the following Wednesday, August 24th, the Alliance for Green Hills, which is a great coalition of businessmen, business leaders, community leaders, and neighbors of Hillsborough High School and just the Green Hills community are hosting a meeting at Hillsborough with Dr. Joseph has agreed to come, and we're working on that format, just kind of a dialogue for how the community can really be embracing our schools in the Hillsborough cluster. Thanks for agreeing to that. So that's 6 p.m. And then 2 days later, August 26th, the Hillsborough High School football team will have a national audience on ESPNU. So they're playing Oakland down in Murfreesboro at 7 p.m. at the Ray Hughes Stadium. But if you can't make it to Murfreesboro, you can turn on and watch on ESPN. So set your calendar for that. That'll be a fun game to watch.
Hold on, Ms. Shepherd.
Okay. And one more shout out. I want to give a shout out to Taffy Marsh. We've had several transportation issues, as was highlighted tonight, and we have had some special needs, transportation needs that she has really gotten on top of, and so I really do appreciate that.
Yeah. So I want to share something that happened over the summer, and that was a back to school, and I don't normally do this, but there's a reason why I'm bringing this up. A back-to-school jamboree held at Whites Creek High School. But it was held jointly with Jolton Middle. So those two principals worked together to create a back-to-school, and every kid left with a swag bag with their age-appropriate school supplies in it. So there were families from Jolton and Scottsboro and Bordeaux and North Nashville in the same building, probably for the first time. That I can recall, getting information, strongly supported by the alumni. I stood there and watched two principals talk and communicate and start talking about things that they could do throughout the coming school year to increase their working together, to start to address some of the issues that both the schools are actually sharing, and low enrollment, and family engagement, and what can we do to create, maybe if we can't get a school PTO together, a cluster PTO. And so I just want to say that this culture change that we've been talking about has manifested itself in a myriad of ways. And I think all of the leadership that is on board, from the classroom teachers all the way up through central office, because that's where it has to happen. We can talk about it here at the board table, it can be discussed in cabinet meetings here at the central office, but until you see it put into practice, that's when you know the right conversations are happening at the right levels. And so I look forward to seeing more of those conversations and that communication across tiers and throughout the cluster that does not have to be facilitated by a PAC meeting or facilitated by a principals meeting. It was a natural thing that should have happened long ago. And it just felt organic. It wasn't awkward. Nobody was marking out with masking tape whose room was what side. It was, kids in the gym playing basketball, snow cones, hot dogs, and a very family. And it represented the diversity that we say we're about in this district. When you walked into that room, into that lobby of Whites Creek High School, all of the families and all of the diversity that exists in District 1 was represented in that school on that day. And so I thank all of you for the things that you've done, the conversations you've had, the expectations that you have set for our building level leaders to support that kind of collaboration, and I look forward to more of it. Ms. Frobe.
There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Great meeting.
Yeah, it's 6:40.